Alright, it's Roger with iGadgetGeek, and I'm going to bring you my final review of the AT&T Pantech Pocket. It's one of their Android 4G devices that runs on their HSPA Plus network. Before we hop into it, we'll just go over some of the specs. This does have a 4-inch screen, which is 600 by 800 pixels. It has a 1650 milliamp hour battery. On the rear, it has a 5 megapixel camera that does record video at 720p. And here is your rear speaker and your secondary mic. Now on the very top, you have your sleep-wake button or your on-off button, your headphone jack. The very bottom of the phone, you're presented with a notch here to take the battery cover off. Go ahead and remove that. Here is the 1650 milliamp hour battery. It does take a slot here for a micro SD card. It does come with a 2 gigabyte SD card. Now, as you can notice here, it does require the micro SIM instead of the standard SIM card. So if you're familiar with like the iPhone 4 or the iPhone 4S, that small little SIM that it uses, this Pantech Pocket uses that same SIM card. So let's go ahead and stick the battery cover back on, and we'll go ahead and take a look around at the hardware. Now here is your volume up and down, and there is your sync charge port. Let's go ahead and take a look at the software. You're presented here with your lock screen, and it is pretty unique lock screen. You're presented with different ways of unlocking it. Each one of these, if you drag it into the center, will unlock you to your text, your music player, your email, your call log, and the internet, or you can just unlock the device. Now presented here with the home screens. You have 7 home screens. You can of course scroll left to right. Now it does not do the loop scrolling, but the home button will take you back to home, and you can pinch to zoom out and of course jump to any one of those screens. Now one of the nice features it does have, some people are a real big fan of this, it's the CRT off animation. So as you can see there, once you turn this device off, it has that little CRT animation when it turns off. Now we'll go ahead and go in here to About Phone. Now this is running Android 2.3.4, which is a nice version to start out of the box. Now of course if you go here to Applications, you are able to install unknown sources, which is quite nice. We'll go ahead and go down here to Storage. Now it does have about 600 megabytes available. As you can see here, we've only got about 262 megabytes of internal storage available. Of course, then you have your SD card, and it will accommodate up to a 32 gigabyte micro SD card. Now at the bottom here, you're presented with your 4 buttons. They are not capacitive, they are actual physical buttons. Now this is going to be a great entry-level Android device. With $49.99 is what it retails with a 2-year contract on AT&T. It's going to be a great phone. It's hard to believe it's an entry-level phone with the specs, shooting 720p video and such a nice big pretty screen, but compared to some of the other higher end Android devices on AT&T, this would be considered an entry-level Android device. Now of course you have your standard drop-down menu. Now they've of course skinned this with a nice animation. So you can see here when you turn the Wi-Fi on and off, it has a little bit of an animation to it instead of just being on and off. If you look through the sound, you can actually see the little animation of it changing. So I think that's a nice little detail they've taken. Now of course you have some standard widgets that Pantech has included. As you can see, here's a clock widget. Here's one of their little weather widgets. Now of course to add a widget, you just press and hold, you go to widgets, and you can go to Pantech widgets, and you're presented here with your choice of widgets. And of course you have pretty much your standard apps installed from AT&T. We have of course the Kindle, AT&T Code Scanner, Family, the navigation. This comes preloaded with Google Books. Just pages here on the app tray slide left to right. Now I've installed a few applications and played with this phone for about a week or so. Now I have to say, for the $49, it is going to be a very good entry-level phone. But now let's talk a little bit about the shape. Now it's a very unique form factor. First phone I've reviewed with this kind of more of a square style. It's instead of being long and skinny, it's more squared. And at first I got it, I thought it was kind of odd, but after using it a while, it's a bit different in the hand, but you do tend to get used to it. And I actually kind of like the real estate on the screen. You get used to that bigger real estate, and it is quite nice. Now that has been my final review of the Pantech Pocket for AT&T, and this has been Roger with iGadgetGeek.